Does the apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump have you thinking? This is Tad Fulford with Rise Up in Real Estate. And today, I hope you don't mind if I take a little bit of step away from real estate specifically and speak to a political issue. So there's been a lot going on in our news here in the United States. There's been a lot going on in response to the news, and I don't know if you pay attention to it or not, but I wanted to give you my response. Now, this is just my opinion. It's my ideas in a nutshell. I'm not here to make a political stance. I want to tell you that up front. I'm not here to encourage you to change your views. I'm just here to encourage you to consider 3 responses that you can have as a human being to what's going on in our news. Thank you for listening to that. Thank you for always partaking in my videos and considering my thoughts and opinions. It means a lot to me. What I'm here to do, just as a side note, is to open discussion. And I am open to texting, emailing, calling, meeting in person to discuss any of these ideas. Amazingly tragic things are happening in the United States of America news right now. I'm sure news across the world, but for us, it is fresh on my mind. I couldn't even sleep last night. Woke up dressed different than I ever do when I do these videos, in a different location than I ever am when I do these videos, but I had to come to you and share my ideas. I think there are 3 things that we can do in response. If you're a United States citizen and you are in the midst of what's going on in our America today, I want to share 3 things. And there are 3 V's that I think that you need to consider. Number 1, you need to vote. I need to vote. We all need to vote. The way our democracy is set up, the way that we can express our views the best is to vote. So in any vote, local, state, national, whatever level you want to consider, whatever election there is that you have the opportunity to partake in, you need to partake. My dad used to tell me, if you don't get involved and vote, you don't really have the right to complain if things aren't the way that you want them to. And you can't celebrate if things are the way that you want them to be. You have to vote. So whenever you have that opportunity, get out there and vote. Second thing that you need to do, in my opinion, in the midst of all of this, and really always, is use your voice. And now in the year 2024 of July, we have the opportunity to use our voice. Remember, your voice can go long and far, much longer and much farther than it ever has before with the influence of social media. And I want you to consider using that voice to express your opinion. That's what I'm doing today on this video. Another V is I'm using my voice to express my opinion. I want you to consider something though as a side note when you use your voice, because I'm sure some of you might have already posted about these events. Some of you might have already tweeted or gone to Instagram or gone to Facebook or YouTube or TikTok and put your ideas out there. I want you to filter them before you hit the send button. Just as if you were sending an email to your mother or to a client, before you hit the send, you should always reread. I want you to consider rereading before you hit the post button and filter it with this. Is it positive and is it productive? Is it going to lift someone up? Is it going to encourage someone? Is it going to move someone towards something positive? And is it productive? Is what you're saying really have the opportunity or the ability to move anyone or encourage anyone, or is it looking forward or is it looking only backwards? Good question to consider. This is a hard one to ask, and I know I'm being bold when I say this, is have you ever changed anyone's opinion with a social media post or with even a firm conversation? Have you ever had someone on social media go, hey, you know what? You're right. You're exactly right. I'm going to start believing that way because of a post that you made. Probably not. Probably you might have changed some minds with the discussion that happened after a positive and productive post. And that's what I want you to consider today. Use your voice. Have conversations. Talk about things, but I want you to consider what the other person thinks as well. You can't only consider your platform. I'm not making a statement for any political affiliation, any religious affiliation, any personal affiliation. I just want you to be considerate of the other side of the coin. Consider other people's opinions, other people's views, just like yours, just like mine, come from somewhere. They come from what their parents had taught them. They come from what they learned at university. They come from what they have consumed by reading or by watching or by talking or by experiences. They have these views for a reason. Consider that those views are for a reason for that person. And when you use your voice, I want you to consider that voice should be positive and productive. So there's 2 things. Vote, use your voice. The 3rd V that I want to encourage you, and this is a big one, is to volunteer. Get out there and volunteer. If there's an area of the world that you don't love, if there's an area of politics or religion, your church or your team or your office or your relationships, I want to encourage you to make a change. I learned this from my coach and from my wife not too long ago. So often we are a consumer. We sit back and we make observations about things that are going on around us, and we complain or we gripe or we nitpick about what's going on as a consumer, how it's affecting us. This happened to me in church. I said to my wife, I don't really love this church. And she said, hey, instead of consuming and just sitting around and talking about it, let's go and be a contributor and make a change. And that's what I want to encourage you to do today. I want you to find an area that you're not happy with. And rather than just consume and talk about it, I want you to be a contributor. I want you to go and make a positive change. I want you to figure out a way that you can volunteer, that you can get involved in any area that you're not happy with. Today, we're talking about politics, but it could be in a relationship. It could be in the office. It could be in your church. It could be civic organization, whatever. If there's an area that you're not happy with, why don't you raise your hand and say, hey, I don't love this. Is it okay if I try this? Is it okay if I go and do this? Or if I put myself out there and use my abilities and my views and my experiences to make this positive change? So vote, use your voice. And thirdly, volunteer. And I'm going to end with this one thing. This again is just my opinion. It's another V that I'm going to throw in at the end of this video. Violence is never, ever the answer. I understand we have military forces, and I understand there are wars and there are things worth defending on a large scale, but on an individual level, I'm 55 years old and this has always been the way that I've handled things. Violence, individual violence, is usually never, ever the answer. So when you are ready to make an act, or you're ready to make a statement, or you're ready to make a claim, or you're ready to make a difference, ask yourself, am I doing this in a positive and productive way? Who am I looking out for? What good am I trying to partake? Like, I don't say this a lot on this video series, but there are things that are positive that we should filter all of our activities, our thoughts, and things just to make humanity a better place. Peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, all the things. The fruit of the Spirit is what I call it. There are ways that you should evaluate your actions and activities to make sure that they make the world a better place. So today, thank you for listening to my opinion about how we should now respond to what is going on in our nation. We should vote, we should use our voice in a positive and productive way, and we should volunteer. And remember, violence is never the answer. This is Tad Fulford with Rise Up in Real Estate, and I appreciate you listening to my message today. And I hope today this video helps us all rise up.